Football off, rugby off, F1 off. So pubbing and clubbing instead this weekend. We've got the coronavirus advice you need to stay safe. And looking further ahead, big weekend off.
BBC Newsbeat.
So after careful consideration with advice from the Scottish Government, big weekend in Dundee in May will not be going ahead. That was the message from Radio 1 earlier. The latest event cancelled thanks to coronavirus. And it joins a long list of other things cancelled or postponed. Here's our sports presenter, Simon Mundy.
Events are tumbling at about 11 this morning. We heard the football was off after lunch. The rugby followed suit, then golf and the first major of the year's the Masters in April. That got canned. And now the London Marathon's been postponed until October.
Thank you, Simon. You're going to be back in a bit to build up on that as well, because there's loads to say. Local and mayoral elections in England are also being postponed for a year until May 2021. Let's get some updates from around the world now. Spain's declared a state of emergency. Belgium, France, India and some of the US states are all closing schools. The Czech Republic and Slovakia are shutting their borders. But in China, where all this started, there are signs they might be coming out the other side. Just 8 new cases of coronavirus in the whole country. Now, we've got Philippa Roxby with us today. She's one of the BBC's health correspondents. Welcome to the studio, Philippa.
Hi, Stefan.
Now, have a quick listen to this.
Hi, Newsbeat. My name's Alice. I'm 26. I'm from Northern Ireland, but I live in London. I'm absolutely sick of hearing about coronavirus. It's so hyped up by the media and it's making things so much worse. This hype didn't even exist with swine flu or bird flu.
My name is Danielle. I'm calling from South Wales. Just shut up. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Staying at home and not touching anyone is just impossible.
So are we getting a bit carried away, Philippa? Is the media overhyping this?
No, I don't think we are. I mean, this is serious now. This is a major public health issue. This new coronavirus is here. It's in the UK and it's circulating, and we won't be able to stop it going round now. But there is good news. The government says we shouldn't change the way we're living our lives, and there are ways we can all protect each other.
Yeah, they're saying now there's 5,000 cases worldwide, and 800 cases here in the UK. It's growing fast, isn't it?
Yeah, there are probably many more underlying cases here in the UK, but a lot of people are going to get mild symptoms and they're going to recover after a week or two, and that's important.
BBC Newsbeat.
Right, let's talk universities then, because at least 4 have now got confirmed cases of coronavirus. So that's Bristol, Loughborough, the London School of Economics and Oxford, where there's 6 people with it. Some unis are stopping face-to-face teaching. So what else do we know, Philippa?
OK, Loughborough, Durham, Manchester Metropolitan, Lancaster and the London School of Economics are all looking to offer online teaching to avoid students going into uni. Oxford has cancelled or postponed all exams scheduled for Easter.
Now, Newsbeat's Govinda Gill has been looking into this.
So, welcome back to
a uni lecture filmed and put online.
Last week we talked about how people recognise objects.
This could become more and more common because of the coronavirus, with more unis cancelling lectures.
Hi, my name's Maddie. I'm a third-year student at Bristol Uni.
They have 1 confirmed case.
All we know is that classroom teaching has been suspended, at least until the other side of Easter. Obviously, not having formal teaching face-to-face with my tutors is quite frustrating, seeing as we've already missed quite a lot of time with the UCU strike action.
Oxford Uni has 6 confirmed cases.
Hi, my name is Gabriella Contaridis and I am a PhD student at the University of Oxford. The vibe at the moment is pretty positive. Everyone's trying to pull together. We understand that this is going to have serious personal and professional consequences, but unfortunately, unless the government changes its instructions, the hands of the university are tied.
Durham hasn't got any confirmed cases, but has moved to online lessons. Emma is a student there.
I personally think the response is great from the university. I think it's great to contain this whilst we can, and we have all the resources in place to move to online teaching.
Schools too are waiting to hear what to do next. Yesterday, the Republic of Ireland announced it was closing its schools, but just over the border in Northern Ireland, schools are still open.
My name is Christopher White. I'm a year 13 student at an integrated college. We were worried because school, is still going on, but so close next to us in the south, they're closed, so we don't really know what to think.
Erin also goes to that school.
Even though schools are open, because children aren't as susceptible to the illness to be fatal, I myself, we have a lot of family members who, if they could get it off of us, it would be a real threat to them.
OK, so what do you make of what we just heard there, Philippa?
Erin makes makes a really good point that younger people appear to be relatively unaffected by coronavirus and only have mild symptoms. But if they do catch it, there is a chance they could pass it on to their relatives. And we're going to talk a bit more about that in a second.
BBC Newsbeat.
OK, Philippa, let's get on to some practical advice then. There is a lot changing. It's tough to keep up, really, with exactly where we are at the moment when it does come to giving people advice.
Yeah, that's true. So we need to know this. Anyone with a cough or a high temperature is being advised to self-isolate for a week. If you think you've got coronavirus symptoms, a dry cough, a fever, shortness of breath, the official advice is now not to phone 111. And don't expect a test either unless you're in hospital and you're really ill. If you need information, go to the NHS website or 111 online. In Scotland, it's called NHS 24 or Inform.
Now, we touched on it a little bit earlier, but remind us of the stats as they stand.
Yeah, they're changing all the time. Medical experts think there's likely to be up to about 10,000 people with the virus in the UK just now, but just under 800 have been confirmed, and there have been 10 deaths.
Right, we're bringing in Newsbeat's Christian Hugill now. You've been talking to Radio 1 and 1 Extra listeners about older people, parents and grandparents.
Yeah, we know that older people, typically those over the age of 65, are more likely to become severely ill if they catch it, especially anyone with other health problems. So naturally that's got you asking questions. We've had loads like these from Rob and Cara.
Hi Christian, we have a 90th birthday party for my gran on Sunday with about 50 people due to attend, questioning whether this should go ahead.
I'm meant to be going to visit my family next week for Mother's Day celebrations, and both my grandmas are in the early 90s, so I'm unsure if it's a good idea. Even if I'm feeling well, is there any potential risk to them?
Philip, a couple of good questions there.
Yeah, definitely. With older relatives, it's really important to be honest about how you're feeling. If you're feeling under the weather, if you think you've got a cough or fever, of any of these symptoms we've just mentioned, it would be better to chat to your grandparents on the phone and not to go and see them in person at the moment.
Now, Christian, what are the care homes saying?
A bit of a mix, to be honest, Stefan. No official guidance on it yet, but many are restricting visitors or asking families to minimise their visits. The Care Forum in Wales, which represents hundreds of homes, says people should only visit if it's essential, as this is a matter of life and death for older people. And we've got charities reminding us too to keep in touch with older people, even if you don't know them as well or can't actually go and see them face to face because of what we've been talking about. Simon Hewitt-Averson is from Independent Age.
It is right to be cautious about visiting, but as we know, there are lots of other ways that you can get in touch with people. So, planning regular phone calls, perhaps sending texts. We are hearing from older people and from family members that those visits are being postponed. Some care homes now are restricting access. So this is a really troubling time for older people in the UK at the moment. Some of the people we're working with are some of the most isolated people across the UK, and I think an incident like this really brings it home to the rest of us that this can be really isolating, and let's reach out to those neighbours, those friends, the family members we might not have spoken to for some time.
This is BBC Newsbeat.
Okay, thank you to Christian. Right, let's focus in on the weekend ahead then. Full sport updates on the way. First, to a guide to going out. Is it okay to kiss after your date? Sweaty nightclubs. How about them? Our health expert Philippa is still here. So is Newsbeat Celestina Ololode.
Let's get straight to the pub then. We've been on the phone to Wetherspoons.
Our pubs are fully open and will remain open unless we're told otherwise. People want to get out and go to the pub. What we're saying is we're telling staff to wash their hands regularly. We're telling customers to do so as well. There's a lot of signage everywhere, and we are also taking a lot of action to make sure the pubs are cleaned even more regularly to ensure they can go to the pubs, have a good time and also be safe.
So, Philippa, sweaty, busy pubs and clubs, what do you reckon then? Is it worth staying away?
This is a tricky one. Viruses love sweaty areas like pubs, but we don't want to ruin people's nights out. As long as you can wash your hands regularly and be sensible about how you are feeling, that should determine whether you go out or not.
Okay, we've also got this in from Zayn.
Would my prolific use and success on dating apps put myself and or others at risk of coronavirus?
Prolific on the dating apps is old Zayn. He's clearly thinking about snogging there, maybe some more as well. But coronavirus isn't sexually transmitted, is it?
No, you can't get it through sex. It's a respiratory tract infection, which means the virus goes in through the mouth and the nose and the eyes. But good advice is don't kiss a stranger.
Okay, on to the next one.
Hello, my name's Tom Claiborne. I'm from the University of Southampton. My question would be, should students be going to house parties that will be going on next week?
House parties, what do you reckon?
Yeah, if you're feeling under the weather at all, cough or fever, don't go along, and encourage your friends to be honest about how they're feeling as well, because it will mix very quickly in those situations.
Okay, one more from you, Celestina.
Yeah, a lot of people have been asking about the gym as well. We spoke to Pure Gym, who are a big chain, and they say the government's told them that there's not a high risk. Here's some of what they're doing.
We've increased the frequency of cleaning. We've increased the number of hand sanitisers. We've introduced new cleaning stations to allow members to self-clean equipment before and after use.
And I've spoken to a professor who's an expert in viruses, and he said that if you are well, keep going to the gym, as long as you keep a safe distance from others and spray down surfaces. So, Philippa, how does that sound to you?
Sounds good. I don't ever want to put anybody off doing exercise. That's always a good thing. But disinfect surfaces, clean those hands.
This is
BBC
Newsbeat.
Okay, let's get back to the world of sport then, like we promised, and look at the effect on events around the world. Simon Mundy's back with us. Basically, everything's been hit.
Well, Cheltenham has continued today, but basically that does seem the last of it. The latest thing to go, the London Marathon, postponed until October. The Six Nations rugby match between Wales and Scotland in Cardiff, if that wasn't cancelled until after lunchtime, but they did pull the plug eventually, following in the footsteps of so many other sporting events and leagues.
Yeah, the football one was the big one. It was the surprise this morning, and we were talking about it earlier and throughout the day, actually, Simon.
Yes, the FA, the Premier League, EFL, Barclays, FA Women's Super League, FA Women's Championship, they've all collectively agreed to postpone the professional game in England until 3rd of April at the earliest. Scottish football is off too. No end date's been mooted there. The Premier League said action could resume on the 4th of April, quote, subject to medical advice and conditions at the time, and privately that is considered very much a movable date. And it follows the news that Arsenal head coach Mikel Arteta and Chelsea forward Callum Hudson-Odoi have contracted the virus. 3 Leicester players are also being tested, while Everton announced one of its players had been showing symptoms. England's friendlies, understandably, expectedly, against Italy and Denmark, they're off as well too. Refunds will be issued.
Okay, F1 then, the Australian Grand Prix.
Yeah, well, with fans queuing at the gate, teams on hold in the paddock, and with drivers Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Raikkonen having already flown home, finally an announcement was made that the Australian Grand Prix wouldn't go ahead. The news came just 2 hours before the first practice session was due to take place. It does seem to some degree that teams and drivers forced the hands of Formula One bosses in that case.
And England's cricket tour, that's off as well.
All players and staff will return to the UK as soon as possible following the decision which has been taken in, to quote them, unprecedented times. We can all agree on that. The England and Wales Cricket Board have released a statement saying the physical and mental well-being of our players and support teams is paramount.
The list just keeps on going, doesn't it? Golf next.
So the Players' Championships in Florida has been cancelled after just run one round, with organisers saying it was the right thing to do in order to safeguard against the spread of coronavirus. It's not a major, it's considered the 5th major though. The PGA stopped all play until the Texas Open on April 2nd. In a nutshell, Stefan, you name it, it's been affected.
BBC
Newsbeat.
Okay, thank you, Simon. Now, just before we go, back to you, Philippa. A very simple question. What makes this end? And connected to that, the phrase herd immunity. What's that mean?
Yeah, I mean, this will all end when it stops being a major epidemic. When this peak of cases stops, we get over the top, we get down the other side, and the NHS and hospitals can recover. And that is when a lot of us will have been infected, and that's called herd immunity. And that means that next time this virus comes around, maybe next winter, we'll be protected from it, and it won't be such a big deal.
Okay, well, thank you very much for being with us today, Philippa. That is pretty much it for now. We're just going to remind you before we go of how we got to where we are now.
Newsbeat.
Authorities in China say there have been 139 new cases of a mysterious virus in 2 days. Officials say there's been more than 200 confirmed cases altogether, but British experts think the real number's much higher.
All of Hubei was going to be locked down. That's 60 million people in that province.
British citizens are once again being urged to leave Wuhan, the Chinese city at the centre of the new coronavirus outbreak.
The principle that we're taking is that we want to take no chances with this virus.
Parts of Italy
Italy are in lockdown to try to stop the spread of coronavirus. The country has the biggest outbreak in Europe. Football matches have been cancelled.
We will be suspending all travel from Europe to the United States for the next 30 days.
Italy is in lockdown as emergency measures to halt the spread of coronavirus are extended across the whole country.
The number of people from the UK who've died after getting coronavirus has risen to 10.
Many more families are going to lose loved ones before their time.
BBC
Newsbeat.
We keep it moving like